Sheikh, there's a common Arab-Canadian custom right now, and it's been happening for the last decade. I would love to hear your insight on this. What's happening now is in the Arab-Canadian community, as a part of the Nikah contract, the girl's side will stipulate a Muakhar, which means, and it's not the Shar'i Muakhar, but it's like a cultural Muakhar, where in the case of divorce, then the husband has to pay X amount of money. And the numbers are exuberant, Sheikh. So like if the sadaq and the mahar is like 10,000, then the muakhar will be like 50,000 or $100,000. And the mindset is that if like this will deter him from divorcing her because he has to pay that much. But often what I've seen is that when there is a muakhar, the husband will actually abuse the wife in that situation. What he will say, I will not give you talaq. You have to request khula if you want out of this marriage, and you have to forego all of the financial rights you have. So I would love to hear your insight on this. Number one, what are your thoughts on the muakhar? And number two, is this something common in Australia as well?
But Asad, did you want to say something? Or?
No, I'm good. I have no idea what's going on. I do not get involved in that aspect of it.
Sheikh Navaid, you have a very sensitive question there. I'm from the Arab community myself, and I can really relate to what you're saying. You mentioned 10,000. Those are more of the humble. That's more of the humble requests. 100,000 is very, very normal now.
La ilaha illallah.
You'll find it mostly in the Middle Eastern community. And I've done over maybe 2,500 marriages as far as I was counting. And among the majority of these marriages don't have this type of mahr. It's really mostly in our communities, the Middle Eastern communities. Now, you are very right, Sheikh Navaid. Unfortunately, what happens is that they jump. What happens is that these parents, because of cultural pressures and the people around them who talk, they start telling them from their angle that, oh, you let your daughter go cheap. She doesn't mean much to you. And then you have other relatives there. Another, let's say her cousin or someone else might have gotten the same cultural mahr, and then they feel that that their father or their mother don't value their own daughter as much as their cousin or as much as their sister, and so on. So this is where the pressure is actually coming from. But I'll tell you what, the majority of our community, they're not really doing the mahr because they really want to put that much of the amount. What the reason they're doing is really because of what people say, reputation and value of their daughter. That's basically what's happening there. So that's why what you said, they do something called mu'addam mu'akhar, which means immediate and deferred. The immediate is what you just said, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. They say, buy some jewelry and gold with it, which you're going to get anyway. And some of our customs is that you buy furniture and prepare your furniture, take her on a holiday. So they make it easy when it comes to the immediate amount, the upfront. They put it sort of in but they really want jewelry and gold. However, the mu'akhar or the deferred, what they mean by it, as you said, is that only if the husband divorces his wife, then he's got to give her the deferred amount, which is sometimes $100,000, which that's a very normal amount. I always advise couples and parents not to do that, because, as you said, it becomes more like a fine instead of a mahr. It's more like a consequence in the hope of deterring them from getting divorced. Whereas sometimes divorce is a solution for their own daughter. Sometimes she may be abused so much and going through hell in her marriage, and because of the amount of money, I would have trapped my daughter in that marriage, all because of the money. And then she gives up her own right, and this is even, I've added to that abuse. So what we say is we try to avoid making the mu'akhar, the deferred amount, because of divorce. And as you said, this does happen all the time. The person who comes into the marriage also thinks, oh, this is just ink on paper. We call it habr ala wara, we say. And you hear a lot of our community parents, they say, oh, don't worry about it. It's just ink on paper. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. But when it comes down to the crunch, they want every single cent of it. It's the first thing they run to. So you can see that we have to take this matter quite seriously. So before you do that, if you're going to ask someone's going to ask from Middle Eastern community, you have to address this point and say, look, I understand there's this deferred amount and whatever, but this is my financial capacity. Talk about what you can and can't do. Talk about how honest you are in how you want to look after their daughter, and how the finance is not a big problem for me. But, tell them that this is a trust in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If the person does sign to it, then they're obliged. They have to give that full amount, subhanallah. This is quite a big problem that's becoming easier as we, alhamdulillah, and in this generation. What's happening now is that the youngsters are, the girls especially, they're telling their fathers, I'm okay with this much amount. Now, I've had several of these cases. I'll give you some examples where the mahr was so huge in this deferred, I think it was $150,000, that if you divorce, this is what's going to happen. And the couple came to me, and the girl, I said, well, are you happy with this? Are you? And she says, no, I'm not even a materialistic person. I don't want this amount. So I said to them, look, you can agree with your parents. And then at the end of the day, the dowry, the mahr, is the wife's right. So if she wants to give up part of it, or you want to change it later on, then you can. That's not a problem at all. You know, if you want to forego part of it, if you want to change its style, whatever you like, this is up to you. And they say, oh, we can actually change. Says, yes, isn't it called a betrayal to my parents? Say, no, this is your right. So in this case, we say, okay, that's the avenue out of it. And I've seen it happen, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen. However, look, this comes down to each individual, that they are prepared as a husband to deal with something like this. I've seen marriages fall apart, engagements fall apart because of this mahr, where I had, you know, for example, let's say Turkish or I once had a Turkish family who got married to a Lebanese family, and this idea of mahr came in. And with the Turkish people, this mahr thing is not a big deal. It's very, very minimal. It's even something that's the last thing that they think about. Whereas the Lebanese community, this is the first thing that they think about. And the clash started to happen. Unfortunately, it didn't go ahead. Several cases like this, I don't mean just Turkish, I mean, it happens through many different ethnicities. So we try to find a solution in that way now. I do encourage parents, if they're listening, to please try to change their mindset in this manner and to take it easy when it comes to the mahr. Majority of Muslims do not write this type of mahr. I think maybe, you know, if you want to do a deferred, make it ya akhi 30,000, ya akhi 60,000 maximum, and within his ability. And we'll tell the sister, you know, be a bit flexible if the situation is hard. But if the guy is really wealthy, quite wealthy, you know, is the millionaire or something, we say, well, you know, 100,000 is not too much for him. And if she wants it, then alhamdulillah. But it's not an indication of her being materialistic, by the way. An indication of materialism is something else. It's when she herself makes the mahr the priority. She herself makes money the priority. You can see it in her language and attitude. Now,
in a world where haram is so cheap, we have to make the halal accessible, Sheikh.
I like what you said. Make the halal easy so the haram becomes difficult. If we make the halal difficult, the haram becomes easy now. And this is not a green light for people to go ahead with the haram, by the way. You've got to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it's for parents, we have to make things easier now.